Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're a new subscriber or if you've been here before, and welcome. If you've never been, thank you for checking it out. This video is very different than the videos that I typically do on my channel. And the reason being, I have been recently diagnosed with breast cancer, and I just wanted to help others out there to have a resourceful amount of information, a video that you can actually rely on to know a lot of things that I didn't know going through this myself. I found a lot of like great option treatments and a lot of like food related things, but I didn't find anything that explained to me the process of going through all of this, and it's been a roller coaster. So if you're new to this, my name is Karina. I thank you so much for being here, and let's get to this. So my journey with breast cancer, I am 38 years old, guys. I am a mother of 3. My kids' ages are 10, 12, and 13. I'm having brain farts right now. And I'm not even taking medicine right now. But I have no history of breast cancer or any sort of cancer in my family. So nowadays I've learned the hard way that cancer really does not have a pattern. It sort of like picks people randomly for one reason or another. And so just because you don't have any history in your family doesn't mean that you are free from it. I also have read studies in the past that said that women who breastfeed their kids have a lot less chances of developing breast cancer in the future, and I did breastfeed all my 3 kids, and it did not prevent this from happening to me. So that being said, and I don't want this to be upsetting news, but it's almost like be aware, just know that it can actually happen. And so I first and foremost wanted to talk about the importance of self examination, something that I did every now and then when I remembered, but I didn't really take that seriously. So starting it from the beginning, in mid-May of 2018, I was in the shower and I was like putting soap in my body, and I found a lump right on close to my chest wall. So I felt that like a little lump, and then that was like, whoa, that's weird. So I kind of like touched it and then fell, like it was about a size of I want to say about a grape, this big. And then I thought, this is weird, this is definitely a lump. So then I went ahead and gave myself a full-on self-exam, and I can perform one right now. First, because I just had a double mastectomy 5 days ago. Second of all, I can lift my shoulder, and so I don't have any breast tissue. But you can Google that. I'll put some sources in here in the box below of videos that you can actually show you. You put your hands up, and then you basically like touch your breast all around, kind of like in movements like this, to really dig the fat tissues that are there, the glands and everything, to feel for any sort of lumps. And so then I found a second one closer to my nipple, about the same size. Those are the ones that I could feel. So I thought it was weird, finished my shower, showed my husband. He was alarmed, kind of like, both of us were kind of like, that's odd, that's weird, definitely. We gotta, check things out. That being said, I was 2 weeks from summer break. I work at a school, at a high school, and then we were just 2 weeks from getting into summer break. So I'm like, I'll just think about this over summer. Like, I'm not gonna worry about this. But then time went on, and I started talking to friends, and some friends, the majority, were like, oh, this is nothing, don't even worry about it, it's probably like my mom had this and it was nothing. Talked to my mom said the same thing, oh, I've had something like this, it was nothing. Honestly, guys, I can tell you right now, do not wait and do not listen to that. Oh, it's probably nothing. Just go and check it out. Just go and check it out. I can't stress how important that is. So a week went by, and then my husband said, you really have to go and get checked, and let's just like start summer without this in our minds. So I called on a Saturday morning. I called a Minute Clinic, or like somebody from my insurance, and told the lady, found a lump in my breast. I kind of wanted to see if I can get checked in a Minute Clinic. And coincidentally, and for me it's more like God's moves, because there's God all over this. I'm sorry if you're skeptical or if you do not believe in God. I'm a huge believer, and I will tell you every step of the way how God has shown himself and came through in everything. So you can skip that part too. if you don't care to listen to it, you can just rely on the medical information, I guess. So when I talked to the lady, she herself had stage 3 cancer in the past, and she said, oh honey, no, you do not want to go to a Minute Clinic. You want to get yourself scheduled on a breast cancer center, or a breast center. And then I said, okay, well, all right, sure. So she's like, wait until Monday, get yourself a schedule as soon as possible. So then I had to go through like my gynecologist to write me a referral. They didn't want to write me a referral without seeing me. So I then called, and I didn't have time, guys. Like, you're talking about, you just want to get checked. All I wanted was to get checked by the specialists, and you can like jump through hoops. And if your doctor or your primary doctor doesn't want to write you a prescription, find somebody that can write you not a prescription but a referral to be seen by the breast people, because your gynecologist is not going to know anything. They might know, oh yeah, this is concerning. Obviously it was concerning already, so I just was in a rush to get to the breast center. So then I called my primary doctor. She wrote me a referral right away. Next day I got an appointment at the breast cancer. Get in there, had my first ever mammogram. Had never had that here in the United States, and I believe that in Brazil is like this too, or maybe all over the world, I don't know. You start having mammograms at 40 years old. But I've learned the hard way also after coming out with this diagnosis that a lot of women have been and are more increasingly being diagnosed in their 30s, which is very alarming, very scary, and tells you that you should be aware of all of this. I'm gonna also give you some resources of people who I found very helpful on social media that are, you know, going through this journey. It's been amazing. So, whew, I feel like I'm talking a lot. Let's see. Okay, back to mammograms. Had a regular mammogram. You know, they basically, it's as uncomfortable as you can imagine. People talk about it, how uncomfortable it is, and it is every bit uncomfortable. Not too painful, but more uncomfortable. You know, somebody's like really there, like pressing your boob, and you're like in this machine, and then you have to hold your breath and take the picture, let go, da da da. So then we got the first set of pictures done. She comes back and wants more. Like, obviously the person looked at it, the doctor wanted more. So then we took several other positions, obviously on the breast. That was my left breast that had the lumps. So we took a lot more pictures on that. And then the nurse warned me that they would probably most likely want to have an ultrasound. So that's kind of to be expected. And she said that doesn't mean that it is, you know, cancer for sure, but it's, you know, anytime that there's a foreign body in there and that they see for sure that it's not a fat tissue, they will want to look deeper into it and have the ultrasound. So then obviously the results came back like right away, and she said they are ordering an ultrasound. So this is all in the same appointment. I had the mammograms, you know, the first set and the second set, and then third step was to have the ultrasound. Then the doctor comes in, we had an ultrasound. She found the lumps right away. I could tell, she took pictures and measured all of them, and because I had babies, I'm like, you know, super familiarized with like ultrasound, so I'm like spotting all of that on the computer. And so I'm like, okay, that's what it is, you know, I see it too. So, but I didn't really know anything more than that. Now I know that uneven edges is not good. So, and she kept on taking pictures, and I could see that they were uneven. They're very solid as well, and it was a black mass And that's another warning sign of being cancerous. Not for everything, okay, guys? I'm not an expert. I've just been researching, and this is what happened to me. It was a black mass. So then she said she went ahead and did my lymph nodes. So she did the ultrasound up here, like on my underarm, to see if the cancer had spread, to see if she would find any masses up there. So they did like a touch exam first to feel it, and then she went ahead and did the ultrasound. So in the ultrasound, she didn't find anything. So when she said results are going to be ready, or no, that she didn't say that. She said we are going to need to have a biopsy. And I said, okay, that's fine. So to me, it was kind of like, I know there's something in there and they need to know if it's benign or if it is cancerous. So great. So I knew by then it was something that would most likely have to be removed. But I asked her, so based on your opinion, what you see right now, what do you think? And she said, well, I'm concerned. So I love that they were like very straightforward. I did not want sugarcoating anything. I'm like, fine, great. Okay, so then when it was determined that I needed a biopsy, I had to schedule one for another, couple of days later. And by that time I was about done with school and everything, or just about. So did the biopsy and asked for an urgency. I don't know how they determine whether it's going to be an urgent or not. I was just very concerned, and I really asked for the doctor, like, please let me know as soon as possible. Can we put like a rush on this, or like, and I guess it's just maybe up to you. So I did the biopsy in one day. I forgot what day it was. And then by next day in the morning, I got the call telling me that I had cancer cells in my breast. So the tumor had cancer cells in it, and it was diagnosed a invasive ductal carcinoma, which is the most common kind of breast cancer. So that's a good thing, because it's like, people deal with this all the time, so they know a lot about it. So that's the great side of it. Fairly common, but they didn't know what it was made of. So the cancer it feeds off of like different things. So they didn't know yet what mine was feeding off of. It was just kind of like a very quick diagnosis. Like they took a quick look at it, saw the cancer cells, and that was kind of like the rush aspect of it. Like they could tell me right away that it was cancerous, but they didn't know any details on it. And that takes usually about 5 business days for the lab to come back with the pathology on the cancer. So as far as the biopsy procedure, it was like a numbing on the local, like a local numbing, kind of like, I think it's Lipodeme, like the same anesthesia that if you have had any procedures done at the dentist, like cavity or like a filling replaced or something like that, it would be that same like local anesthesia that they would use for the biopsy. And it's just, so it's locally, he will go in with the needle and like inject the anesthesia around it and at the site, like at the mass, and then around it, and then they will come with like a suction needle that was like, it's like thicker obviously, and they would like literally poke the mass and suck some liquid or some mass, some stuff out of it for sampling. So as he was, and that's all conducted via ultrasound. So he has the ultrasound machine, and the ultrasound guides them to like where the mass is and what is around and everything. So he did, it was a male doctor that performed the biopsy. He did the first mass that was close to the chest wall, and then he did the other one that was closer to the nipple. And then he also checked again for the lymph nodes. Didn't find anything in there, but he did, as he was looking through it and performing the biopsy, he thought he saw a third mass in there too, in between the two lumps. He saw kind of like a third one further down. So the other two were kind of like out, and then this one was further down. But he's like, you know what, I see it, I'm not sure it is a mass or not, but since we're testing this too, let's just go ahead with this, see what the results are, and then we think about that third one. So that's kind of like how we went about ours. Then when I talked to my doctor about sizing, well, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. Once I had the result, knew there was cancer, it was kind of like, whoa, I have cancer. What am I going to do? So called Brian, you know, my husband, called mom. Everybody was kind of in shock, but it didn't really dawn on me for the longest time. I was just kind of like, okay, what do we have to do now? Like, so I called my best friend, one of my best friends, and thank God, like, we remain in touch. We used to work together and we remain in touch. And coincidentally or not, that's God again for me, her dad is a oncologist. And I had never met him, but I've heard a ton about him because we were, you know, really, really good friends for a while. And I called her right away, and I had talked to her about it before. She called her dad. I'm like, you know, I found this, and he's like, well, let me know what it is. Da, da, da. So once I had the diagnosis from my hospital, they already set up an appointment with a surgeon from Community North, which is a hospital here in Indy that I went to have the biopsy done. So once I called my friend with that appointment already, and this was a Thursday, and they set up an appointment for the following Monday with a surgeon at the community. I called my friend and she called her dad right away, and he just put me in his schedule the very next day, that Friday morning. And he's an amazing doctor, Dr. Greenspan. I have nothing but wonderful things to say about him, and the whole staff in the building had nothing but great things to say about him. While I was having my biopsy done, I mentioned I know a doctor who's an oncologist, and I might, you know, I probably will be seeing him, and he's in a different network. He's with IU Health. And they, like, even the nurses that were from a different hospital said, oh, I know Dr. Greenspan, he's amazing, that's great, da 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 da. So that all being said, I just wanted to go to a doctor that I had some kind of relationship with, even though he's never met him, I've never met him, and he had never met me before. We had, you know, his daughter in common, and that made the whole difference. It was like I wasn't just another patient. And that I'm saying, guys, not because I feel like, you know, these doctors are amazing, period. Maybe not all of them. I don't know if anybody has had a bad experience, but I just wanted some kind of a connection. I didn't want to just be another patient there. And I did have that experience with him. He sat with us. We spent about 2 hours going over everything, all the possibilities. And at this point, we didn't even have the results of what type of cancer it was. So during that appointment, he explained to me all the possibilities. If it's like what kind of hormones the cancer feeds off of, and if it is like an estrogen, if it is HER2, or if it's this or that. So anyway, he said we have to wait for those results to come back so we can talk about treatment options. If the hormone was feeding out was a HER2 positive, for instance, he would suggest chemo right away to shrink the tumor, and then surgery afterwards. If it was estrogen fed, then he recommended surgery first to remove it. And then after, if like the hormone, the tumor is tested further, then he will decide whether I'll need chemo or radiation or anything else. So we were at that point, we were like, we just have to sit down and wait for that. And that's when I came about on my Instagram too, and urged people to pray, and I felt such a movement for this. It's amazing, the power of prayer. We felt here at home. I had not had one breakdown until that point. I was just pure faith, and I know this is going to be great. I know the outcome of this is going to be so good. There's way more good in this than bad, and I kind of focus on that. I know. And then I read something on my daily devotional that said God does not keep you from going through something that he wants you to go through, because whether that's going to make you stronger, or you're going to learn something from it, or you're going to help somebody else through this, whatever his reasoning is, he won't keep you from that if he means for you to go through this. And in my mind and my heart, to this day, I know he wants me to go through this, but I'm choosing to go through this with him by my side. And then this burden is so much lighter. It's just so much more joyful to be able to come here and open up about this with everybody. It's really truly a blessing, and that reflects on the way that things are coming back. My results and my recovery is just so smooth, really. And I might be saying this too soon because I'm like mid treatment, I'm just beginning with this, but it really is. It's been nothing but a blessing, and I have been able to connect with so many of you, so many women that have been through this, and in much, much worse ways. So many women that have had their moms go through this, or their daughters go through this, or a loved one, like a best friend, go through this. And it's not easy. There's just a lot of down days. There's a lot of pain involved, and the psychological part of it, that it's like you're basically losing your breast in my case. So when I talked to Dr. Greenspan too about the options, this is another thing too that a lot of you might be confused. We talked about the possibility of doing a lumpectomy, which is the removal of just the lumps, just the cancer site. And so you have to have a margin for that to remove. And because of my size, I'm a small person, and then I have small breast, I would be removing more than 50% of my breast. And so that would not, even with reconstruction, it would not look right at all. And then there's the possibility of this coming back. Would it affect the other one? It doesn't mean just because you have had in one breast that it will automatically you will have on the other one. No, it does not mean that. But I will always have to have mammograms, and I will always wonder about it, and it will always be there. Will I have this again? It's just for my own peace of mind. We decided there, and along with my husband too, to have a double mastectomy and just get rid of all the, I've had 3 kids. I don't plan on having any more, at least not biological ones, and I don't plan on breastfeeding anymore. So my breasts were beautiful and great and did what they had to do, did an amazing job feeding my kids, and that was it. I'm like, they served their purpose, and I'm done. I don't want to ever have to go through this again. So let's just get rid of them and then go from there. So then that's when we decided on the mastectomy. I feel like I need a break. On that same appointment, we did a genetic testing, because part of my family is from Portugal, my dad's side of family, and I don't know everybody from that side of family. So I only knew to a certain extent, and I believe that's true for a lot of us. We only know to a certain extent if somebody has cancer in their family. And so I was like, as far as I know, I don't think I have a history of cancer, but I can't tell you for sure 100%. So Dr. Greenspan ordered the BRCA genetic testing then, and that took about a week to come back. And that would be something good to know just for the future. I have 2 daughters, and they would have to be, if I did carry the gene, that would be something that they would have to be concerned with, and then we would have to talk about the different possibilities for them. Thank goodness it came back with a negative, I guess I have no genetic mutations, I guess, on that. So that was another test that was great. And then meanwhile, I was having all of the, everybody pray for estrogen positive, because the last thing I want to do through this whole journey is go through chemo. And I only say this, guys, I know it sounds very vain, and it is 80% vanity. nobody wants to lose their hair. Nobody wants to look sick. I feel like chemo is something that is really the picture of cancer on your face. And it's just like, you know, I admire so much all the women that go through this strong with a smile on their faces, because that really scares me, you know, to have to go through it. From day one, I pray to God, if I have to go through it, if this is your plan for me, I will go through it and I will be happy. I will try to look at the positive every day. But if I can have my way, I would ask not to go through it. So I think that going back to faith, it's important that we're very specific in our prayers. Obviously, nobody's praying for cancer. Nobody wants that. But it was something that was never in my mind. So when I received that diagnosis, it was a surprise for me, or like as a shock, like, whoa, I have cancer. So I can pray, God, I pray that this is really not cancer. Like, they made a mistake. I just chose to kind of face this, you know, because it is His will, but I am asking for the things that I would like to have, for the outcomes that I would like. But above all, I pray that His will be done and not my will. And so I've been praying very specifically, you know, and had asked people that asked, what do you want me to pray specifically? Pray that this is estrogen positive. Well, to my not so much surprise, the result came back as 95% estrogen positive, 95% progesterone, which is like the cancer feeds off exclusively of hormones. And then HER2, which was the scary guy in there, it came back as negative. HER2 is it's a very aggressive form of cancer, and that's the one that you need to do chemo like right away. That came back as negative. So I was, you know, and I've been praying for this and everything, so I believe that that's God again showing up. It's His plans, and that's great. So the plan to go from that time was to have the mastectomy first. That's what Dr. Greenspan ordered. First step, surgery. Second step, we're gonna do the lymph nodes sentinel, which is a very small surgery. I can show you guys. I don't know if I can, but I have kind of glue. It looks a little bit gross. This is the cut, and they removed some of my lymph nodes. And I just, as we were talking today, as I was filming, I just got a call from my doctor saying that it is negative. So the cancer did not spread, and it was 3 sites. So the third lump that the doctor in the biopsy thought that it would be, you know, a third spot, it was indeed a third spot. So they did remove all the 3 parts. Through the surgery, the doctor ordered pathology to test for the lymph nodes and to test for she scraped the back of my nipple, because I did have a risk of losing my nipple because the cancer was so close to it. She said she was going to try everything to save it, but there was a chance that it might not be saved. So I went in surgery knowing that. Prayed for that, prayed that I could save my nipple, prayed that the cancer hadn't spread. So everything that was within my reach that hadn't come back yet, I prayed over, and everything is been coming back the way that I hoped and that I prayed for and that I not expect, because we can't really expect anything in this situation, but that I have been praying for. And lots of people, strangers, you know, readers, have been praying for, and that's amazing when you have like a ton of people. And I just love opening my Instagram and seeing my friends who are like atheists or non-believers, or like, you know, like Jews, or have a different kind of religion, being like, honey, Jesus is with you. Like, you know, I'm not much of a prayer, but I am praying for you. That's so amazing. I think that God's really happy with that too, and He's like, you go girl, let's do this and let's make the best out of this. And that just really makes my day when that happens. So guys, I'm gonna finish this video here, and then I'm gonna do a second one talking exclusively about the surgery, the mastectomy itself, just because otherwise this is gonna be so long, and I want you to be able to enjoy and dissect everything and not have to listen to me talking here for like an hour or more. So let's just do this. This was up to, you know, ordering the mastectomy, and then I'm coming with part 2 and talking about the mastectomy, what entails, what happens. Maybe I can try to show you as much as I can of what it looks like and the drains. I asked my mom to film tonight too of us draining, because I'll probably take the drains out tomorrow. So that's another prayer and we'll go from there. But if you have any questions whatsoever about this side of things, or this first part of things, please feel free to leave me in the comments. I'll try my best to answer to my knowledge, and if I can't, I will for sure pass along to people who are professionals and who know better, or I will actually write down all these questions. The nurse navigators are so amazing at IU Health. I have like full access to their phone numbers, and I can at any time of the day call them with any questions that I have. They're like amazing. And so if you do have questions that are more hardcore, you can definitely leave them in the comments, or you can just send me an email or a DM on Instagram, you know, if you want to be more private about it, and I will make sure to write that down and pass it along if I can answer myself. Okay, I hope this video helps you guys with what I want to tell you or to share the most on this particular video is the importance of self-examination. Self-examine yourself all the time, at least once a month, and know that it has no lifestyle. I've always been a healthy person. You know, I have a normal weight for my height. I'm considered an athletic person. Like, I have a good muscle mass. I'm not obese. I'm not like a couch potato, or like a person who just doesn't move at all. No, I'm very like into things. I like to eat healthy. I like to cook healthy for my family. So it has nothing to do with that. Cancer does not pick and choose. It just kind of comes, and boom, next thing you know, you just have to deal with it. And the other thing that I want to pass, the message that I want to pass through this video, is to keep your positive. I heard that so much from so many people. Like, Karina, that makes a huge difference. The way you encounter this, the way you absorb this, the way you face this cancer is the way that the way you really look at life. It makes a difference. If you can choose every day to wake up and be like, darn it, I have cancer and this sucks. Or you can say, hey, you know what, I have cancer and I'm fighting this thing, and I'm making so many new friends. I'm like being able to help so many people with my story. What a blessing. You know, you can totally make that choice every day, and that's the message that I want to pass through. And mind you, I had my down moments too. It's not a joy or a field of flowers by any means, but we have to pick ourselves up. You know, we cry and we have a bad day, and then we pick ourselves up and be like, okay, I'm done with that. Let's move on and look at the bright side of things. So I guess that's it. So I'll be back, guys, with mastectomy side of things. I hope you enjoy this as much as you can enjoy a cancer video, and I'll be back soon. Beijo. Thank you for your time. Bye. And messages and prayers and thoughts and good vibes. Thank you.